I'm Alex Apple from the Mayor's Office. I'll introduce Mayor O'Connell in just a second. We'll also hear from Director Chief William Swan from the Nashville Fire Department, Teresa Broyles-Applin from Nashville Electric, and we've got some other partners in the room, which the Mayor will introduce as well.
Thanks, Alex. I want to first thank Eric Workman for being here to assist with American Sign Language interpretation of this event. Alex mentioned Director Chief William Swan, who's heading up our OEM effort. We've also got Assistant Police Chief Mike Hager. We've got Steve Martini from our Department of Emergency Communications, Teresa Broyles-Applin from Nashville Electric Service. I know Vice Mayor Angie Henderson has joined us with council members from some of the hardest hit areas, Councilmember Jennifer Gamble, Councilmember Aaron Evans, Councilmember Jennifer Frinsley-Webb, Councilmember Tanya Hancock, and I know also at the event, Councilmember Quinn Evans Siegel, Councilmember Jacob Coupin, Councilmember Terry Vo, and Councilmember Brenda Gadd have been here. Yesterday was unfortunately another heartbreaking day for Nashville and so many in our Middle Tennessee community. I want to first thank our first responders from both the fire and police departments who were, as always, the first on the scene to help those who have been impacted. Many of them have been working since yesterday afternoon, and I am incredibly grateful for their selfless service. With daylight revealing the extent of the damage in the northern parts of Davidson County, we have turned our attention to helping the people that have been impacted. So I'm also grateful today to be joined by Hal Cato from the Community Foundation and Brian Hassett from United Way. They have been trusted partners to the city, and both have established funds that Nashvillians and others can donate to and ensure that generosity provides the most help it can. So I would encourage those who want to participate in the assistance and recovery effort to visit NashvilleResponds.com. From there, you can both request assistance and also make donations and volunteer. The Red Cross is running a shelter for people who have been displaced by the tornado from their homes at Isaac Litton Middle School. If you need a place to go, please make use of the resources there. You can also dial 1-800-RED-CROSS to request assistance. We have been working very closely with Nashville Electric Service. They are still trying to restore power to 26,000 Nashvillians. Their crews have been working around the clock to get impacted Nashvillians back online as quickly as they can. In total so far, our responders have identified 22 structures that have collapsed as a result of the storm, and countless others have sustained significant damage. When I leave here this morning, I'll be heading to several parts of the county to explore how bad the damage was and talk with Nashvillians about how we can help. I've already been over visiting with people in the community off of Nesbitt Lane earlier this morning, but we know that there are people in need throughout the city. I'm going to turn the podium over to Director Chief Swan to provide more details, but before I do, I want to express my own personal gratitude. Nashville is a place where when we face adversity, the community always steps up, and we have seen that. The amount of personal outreach that I've had from individual residents, from corporations, from nonprofits, from people at the state and federal level has just been astonishing. I want everyone that has been impacted by the storm to know that we are here for you too. The mayor's office and the entire Metro government are here to work with you. And while the days and weeks ahead will be challenging, we will respond. We will be with you. And now I'll hand it over to Director Chief Swan.
Thank you. So good morning. So as the mayor stated, a lot of great work from public safety and so many other partners to manage the storm that we encountered yesterday. From my standpoint, we're going to talk a little bit about safety. Please be aware that there is still a significant risk of debris in unstable structure areas. It is critical that you exercise extreme caution when you navigate through affected areas and avoid entering any building or structures that appear to be damaged or unstable. Your safety is our top priority, and we urge you to report any hazardous conditions to our local authorities through 911. Also, as the mayor stated, we've got a lot of partnerships. We want to really appreciate our VOAD has been activated as well with their help with the volunteer state, getting a lot of volunteers out so we can start to rebuild and remove debris and help in that area. But we want to assure you that we're working to try to restore everything to somewhat of a normal. Our dedicated teams are assessing damage and they're coordinating resources and providing assistance to those in need. We are committed to support and make sure that we do everything we can do to get people in a safe area and then also to remove debris and get things moving back to a normal state. Please take common sense. We know that there are still a lot of traffic lights out, and if you come to a traffic light and it's not working, it's a four-way stop. I say that because we've had a lot of complaints and people concerns. Also, I'm proud to say that from our DEC side, all the calls that came in yesterday, well over 400 calls that was responded by our first responders. Great work all the way around. Also, we appreciate Metro Schools assisting us to have a place for a shelter. Again, as the day go on, we may have to make adjustments, so we ask everyone's patience when it comes to this. As things come across our table, we will handle it and deal with it. We've been here before. We know that we work strong together, and that's what we expect in this situation. So thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We at Nashville Electric Service are really saddened by what occurred, particularly the loss of life with the severe storm, but our hearts go out to everyone that has incurred loss. We know how resilient our community is, and we will be working 24/7 to ensure that we can contribute to our community's recovery. At this hour, we've restored power to nearly 18,000 customers. While this is significant, there are still 26,000 customers without power. We have crews working on restoration efforts, including contract crews. We are also expecting contract crews from out of state later today. NES substations in Hendersonville and North Nashville received significant damage. That damage is also impacting the transmission system coming out of Saundersville and Edenwall substations. The majority of the current outages are fed from those substations and transmission lines in those areas. We expect some of those outages to be prolonged, and we will know more today as crews further assess the damage. We don't have an estimated restoration time, but we do know that the outages in the Hendersonville area will be prolonged. That area has extensive damage, and some customers will experience outages lasting potentially days, not just hours. There are many poles down all across our system, particularly in those concentrated areas. And just a reminder, if you see a down line, do not touch it. It could be live. We don't know, but it could be live and carry an electric charge. Stay away and call 911. Our top priorities are to our customers and getting everyone restored. We assure you we will do everything we can to restore quickly.
Thanks, Teresa. With that, take any questions that you've got.
I'd like to ask about an explosion that seemed to be captured by a number of cameras, including TDOT. There's been some speculation that it was a substation. Can you elaborate on that at all? Does anyone have any information?
I will tell you that we did have extensive damage, including some equipment that had certainly been on fire. We have not confirmed that that was due to our equipment. We clearly are more focused on just getting power restored at this point. But we do have reason to believe that could be our equipment that was videoed there. That gives you a good idea of the extent of damage that we're dealing with at some of these substations. We do plan to release photos of some of the damage, including the photos of that equipment, today or tomorrow, whenever our communications team can get that out.
What's the process when you have a substation like that damaged to restore it? Is it repair there? Is it bringing in from other areas? How does that work?
We typically would try to bring, if we have a damaged piece of equipment, we would typically try to bring in a new piece of equipment and just replace it if we have a piece of equipment to replace it. In some cases, it could be large power transformers, and those have long lead times. You don't always have a ton of those sitting around. We do have the ability to restore those and repair some of the equipment. Some of the things that are burned, I don't see that you can, or that are wrapped around things, you can't easily restore those, but we can replace them. So our teams are working really hard, and we have a lot of damage at the north substation, including to the control building. That's the one where the fire was theoretically filmed. And that one will take a little bit of time. We're hoping to have people back on in that area pretty quickly. We were able to feed some of those customers from another area. The ones directly around it are relying on that substation to get back out.
Do you have an early damage cost estimate?
We do not. We won't have cost assessment until after we're done. It's just we throw everybody at it and get the equipment fixed and lines fixed and contractors in here and whatever we need to do, and then we evaluate our impact. And with any, we would be hopeful we could get a FEMA declaration to assist us too.
Add to that. Steve, following up on that, that was part of what last night's assessment was, even before we were able to be on the ground during daylight, was we knew that damage was extensive enough that this was a likely disaster declaration scenario, and that is why we did the state of emergency, because we will be coordinating with TEMA and FEMA partners, very likely expecting some kind of declaration.
Can you elaborate what the state and then federal process would be from here?
So we have been in contact with TEMA already, and we have also been in contact with the governor's office. We have Ray Render is here from Congressman Rose's office in areas that were pretty hard hit. So we have maintained a level of contact with congressional representation as well as state executive and TEMA representation. And I believe FEMA will get involved at some point, but we have to wait. We're kind of submitting details into all the appropriate channels and waiting on responses.
And a little bit more in the weeds with that. So basically what normally happens, we'll make an assessment, which we're doing now, as far as Davidson County. Now this number fluctuates, the number changes, but it'll be close to $3 million as far as us trying to calculate how much damage is for Davidson County. And then when it goes to the state, it may be around $12 million. That number changes. But again, as the mayor stated, I know the governor is making his assessment starting, I guess, in the next hour. But as far as Davidson County, we are actually making assessments. It is important for everyone to understand all the debris and things in your area. Just take it to the curbside, and then our teams will come and take pictures and make sure things are gathered, because that's very important that we capture the damage before we get rid of it. But this is, unfortunately, this is not something that, new to us. We've done it several times. So that's the process that we started last night, and we're actually continuing that as we speak. One last thing I do want to also mention, for safety standpoint, there is a lot of gas main breaks. So you'll see our teams out trying to control that and isolate. So if you see the authorities in your areas, please just understand they're there for a reason. Along with a lot of the road closures that we have, please just be respectful to that. We're going to have teams out to try to get people back into the area that has been affected, but we want to make sure you are escorted in and out, just like we did during the bombing. So thank you.
As of this morning, do we know how many people have been injured?
I can get back to you on that, because we know, of course, the 3 fatalities that we had, and we did have a number, but I'm sorry I don't have that, but I can get that back to each one of you guys.
Any idea if schools will be closed tomorrow, play that by ear? One of the shelters is at a middle school.
Right. Well, the schools are doing an assessment. They started last night, and I know that we're getting a report in. We're waiting right now for the school that we're actually using for the homeless shelter. So we'll know a little bit more about that as the day plays out.
Do we expect the death toll to rise?
That's a tough question. We hope that death toll doesn't rise, but our teams are. Last night, I wanted to just let everybody know the incredible job that all the teams did last night. When the storm hit, shortly after, as you guys know, it's completely dark with no power, but they used all the tools that they had in their tool bags, from drones to our urban search and rescue teams, both police and fire, and so many others that played a big role to make make the assessments under those circumstances. There was a lot of collapsed buildings and structures, unstable, but they did a great job. As of right now, we don't have anything, and we hope we don't. But we are still in the recovery stage right now and making assessments.
It's the time of year that a lot of people have plans coming up. Your first responders do too. Just sort of what's the mood been on December 10th, 15 days before Christmas, Hanukkah underway? It's got to be hard.
Well, I would say for the first responders, this is a calling for all first responders. Again, I think when you look back through the history, our job is to protect and serve and make sure that we make things as best as we can. Of course, we know that during this season, during this time, just of the nature of close to Christmas and other celebrated holidays, that it does, I think from our standpoint, we think more of our citizens and what they're going through. And of course, we know that even in our departments, we have individuals that may be affected by this. I have not got any numbers from fire at this point, but there was even in my residence, I mean, it was one of those moments that no damage, but again, so we have empathy, and we do our job, and we focus on making sure that we stabilize everything. We use the LIP method: life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. That's what we go by. So again, our heart goes out to everyone, but we're here to serve, and that's what we will do through this hardship.
I want to jump in on that too. I'll say the mayor's office staff, we've tried to be very clear about there will be times where we get a 3 a.m. call, and this is something, I think last night was very much about that. When I came into the Emergency Operations Center last night, there was a member of the Metro Nashville Police Department who was here and talked about that call rotation and how he had looked forward to December and looked at the forecast, and it didn't seem like we were going to have a lot of severe weather while he was on call, and then this happened. But he was also so committed to it, and I think that kind of thing speaks to the level of commitment of our first responders. But it's not just them. It's the NES crews. It is the Nashville Department of Transportation crews. It is the people that are the call takers, part of the dispatch process, because they all are part of it. And I think the fact that there is a willingness for people to have family and holiday schedules disrupted speaks to how much we care about one another. I will say one of the most amazing photographs I saw last night was our Chief of Staff, Marjorie Pomeroy Wallace, sent me a picture of the menorah that is up on Public Square, still standing upright with all 3 candles for the night of Hanukkah that was in effect lit, right? And so to me, that is what that is all about, and was excited to see that.
I was just going to ask, do you have the most updated numbers available for the number of people who have been displaced, or the number of households that have been displaced with the structures down in Davidson County?
Well, currently we have 25 that are at the shelter, but again, we expect that number to increase. But the message here is, if you need help or you need assistance, to call Red Cross, and then if you need transportation to that shelter, we'll make sure we provide that for you.
One other thing I'll note is, while it is bright and sunny outside right now, we know that a cold snap is happening tonight, and so the Office of Homeless Services and Metro Social Services have announced that we will be activating the emergency shelter there. So for Nashvillians already experiencing homelessness, that will be available as an option. But I do think, to Director Chief Swan's point, the number of people impacted who may be in their home potentially, but not have power restored, will still be in a state where they may not have access to reliable heating, right? And so having use of that Red Cross number is going to be particularly important. So again, 1-800-RED Cross, and they can direct anybody in the region to one of the shelters that's active.
So we had a preliminary conversation with the Weather Service about what a preliminary estimate on the size of the tornado was?
Yes, we're actually gathering that now as we speak, just to find out, again, what type of tornado it was, and we'll get that information out hopefully soon, and share it. I mean, I think that's on everybody's mind. It was on mine last night. Everybody wanting to know again the degree. We see the devastation that it caused, so I'm not going to speculate what it is, but as soon as we get that, we'll make sure that we get that out to you guys.
Any other questions?
I'll leave one final comment. I know we've got several council members up here from the affected areas, and I just want to speak to outreach to other elected officials. We know that multiple mayors around Middle Tennessee have been struggling with the challenges of the severe weather, these tornadoes. We know there were fatalities reported out of Clarksville and Montgomery County. I will say I have been so impressed by watching our Metro Council members, our state representatives and state senators, the congressional delegation, the level of support that we've had coordinating with the mayor's office, with the Office of Emergency Management here in Metro, should give Nashvillians and Middle Tennesseans confidence at the level of commitment. And then the staff response, I can't say enough good things about everyone's level of commitment. So again, we know it's the holidays, and I will say that we want everybody else in the city who has been impacted temporarily to be back in their homes, back on their feet as much as they can. So thanks, everybody.